Hi! Hello, everybody. My name is Christina, and this is Behind the Review. Today's video, I will be talking about the Bruce Lee movie from 1972, Fists of Fury. To be honest, I have no notes, because I was trying something new. But I think it'll be okay because I am recording this directly after watching it. So, I did make a few comments while I was watching the movie, and my comments are recorded on another audio thing. And it threw me off in the beginning because at first I wasn't quite sure what was happening with the dialogue. Because the way that the actors were talking, it didn't quite seem to match up with like the actual audio that I was hearing. And it threw me for a little bit. And then I realized that it had to have been dubbed, that the movie or the version that I was watching was dubbed in English. So I actually ended up watching the movie with subtitles. I normally don't do that, but because it was so distracting trying to watch the actors talking, that it was hard not to look at them, because it's if you're having a conversation. I mean, you look at the people when you're talking to them. So because what I was hearing didn't match what they were saying, like how they were speaking. So instead I had to basically look at their nose or their forehead or something for me to watch it, basically. So but at the same time I still found myself looking at their mouths just to see if maybe there were times where maybe it would sync up, which it probably did. I just didn't notice. So yeah, I did watch this movie with subtitles. It probably wasn't necessary, but because of how the dubbing was throwing me off a little bit, I chose to put the subtitles on just in case there was something they said that I missed, and that way I could read it. There were also times where I felt like some of the sound effects were out of sync. Like it didn't quite, like it was delayed, I guess. Like it wasn't bad per se. It just made me think that maybe I thought it was like freezing or buffering or something. So I thought maybe something was wrong on my end. I don't know. There were also things that I felt were, considering it was the early 70s, was pretty disgusting. Uh, like a nunchuck to the top of the head, that was pretty gross. There was whatever animal that Bruce Lee was eating, that he had, it looked like a shish kebab of some kind. I don't to be honest, I don't want to know what it was. It was gross and sad at the same time, but I know that he was on his own, that he needed to fend for himself, which I understand, but I don't want to know what it was. I kept trying to make guesses, and I was like, you know what? It's probably best that I don't know what it was. For the most part, I thought the fight scenes were really well done for film. However, there may have been like one or two times where I noticed that, like, stage combat, where you don't actually make contact with the people you're fighting with. There were a couple times where it was very noticeable that he made no contact with the other actors whatsoever. And I was like, well, it was a nice try, but it was very noticeable. But other than that, like the way that the camera angles were good choices based on the what is that called? Like fight sequence choreography type thing. What is it actually called? Why can't I think of it? Yeah, but I think you know what I mean. Also, there was something else. Oh, there was an outfit that Bruce Lee was wearing at the beginning of the movie that I couldn't quite figure out why he was wearing it. It was an all-white outfit, and it made him look like he was in the Navy. Like he was wearing a Navy, like a sailor's uniform. And I couldn't quite figure out why. My guess it was to establish to the viewers that this is going to be the protagonist, like this is the guy who's gonna save something, or he's gonna try and whatever it is, that this is the guy that we need to look out for as being the good guy. But it just kind of threw me a little bit that it looked like he was wearing a sailor's outfit, which, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact reason why that particular outfit was chosen, because other people were wearing like blue or black or gray. But he was the only one that was wearing white, and I thought that it was different and interesting. There was there was a set, basically. Obviously, you can tell it was obvious that it was not actually outside, but I think it was supposed to make you think that it was outside. It was the like the Zen garden, or the whatever, the garden. It was really nice because I liked how the set was built. They had the grass and the plants and the pond. It seemed very peaceful, and I would have liked to have visited that, even though I know it was fake. But still, it was like, oh, that just seems so zen, if you will. Oh yeah, there was, as far as I could tell, there was only one vehicle, like one car, that we see throughout the entire movie. And I am not sure why, because it seems like throughout the entire movie, people are either walking or they're riding on, I believe, is a rickshaw. I think that's what it's called. I'm not 100% sure. It's like this wagon cart thing that's being pulled by a horse. Oh, actually, I don't think it was being pulled by a horse. I think it was being pulled by another person. I think that's what it's called. Don't quote me on that, but that's just the first thing that came to mind when I saw it. But I was like, throughout the whole movie, you see people walking or running or whatever it is, or using these rickshaw things, and then all of a sudden, just this one scene, you see a car. Really? I think it would have been fine without the car. Was the car really necessary? Maybe there was something that was leading up to it that somehow maybe I missed, that I happened to be thinking of something else at the time, or maybe I was in the middle of making part of my little commentary. I don't know. It seemed a little out of place for some reason, because I thought maybe this whole movie, I was like, okay, there's no cars in this movie. Fine, I'm okay with that. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how far into the movie, there's a car. I was I was like, okay. Oh, why? I think the only time we see people getting into the car and we see it drive away, and I believe that is it. I don't know. Um but I don't know. It was I found myself uh reacting to some of the things that the bad guys were doing, because there seemed to be a group of them that they were it was like they were trying to provoke a fight, and they would like, do gently slapping of Bruce Lee's face, and you can just tell with the curling of his fists and his facial expressions. I was like, don't mess with him. You don't want to mess with him. Don't poke the bear. Um, and I believe I said that out loud a few times. My commentary on another recording is we'll see what happens, because I haven't listened to it yet. So maybe I said you don't want to mess with him, because you don't want that. Um, and then there was also a scene where I don't know her name. Also, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but Bruce Lee's character, his girlfriend or lady friend, or I don't know if it was established exactly who this girl was to him. Um, we just know that they're in love with each other, and they had talked about getting married and having a life and kids and stuff like that together. So there was a scene where he was outside. I believe he was in a cemetery, and he had built like a little mini fire so he could keep warm but also cook food so he can eat something. That you can just tell of them, the conversation and the way that they were looking at each other. That I think I said out loud, because there was like this awkward silence, or at least it felt like an awkward silence, and I was like, just kiss the girl already. And then so it was maybe about 5 or 10 seconds after I said that he kissed her, and I was like, really? It was like a kind of a sad, pathetic little kiss, and I was like, huh, really, that? And then finally I was like, oh, okay, that's better, thank you. I said kiss the girl, and you did. um I really thought, from how they were kissing each other, I thought it was going to lead to a little bit more, and they didn't. Which was fine. I had no issues with that whatsoever. Then there was a scene where I was caught by surprise. That I don't know exactly who this lady was, but I what's the word I'm looking for? My um, interpretation of her was that she was a Japanese stripper, belly dancer combination. Uh, yeah, it was, took me by surprise. She ended up taking more items off, but they did do some pretty good camera work there. So we actually don't see anything, probably because of standards and practices. It probably wasn't allowed in the 1970s to do that. So, good choice on camera angles and such. Um, really, we only see is her bare bottom. That's the extent of it. That's it. But it was still like she was still taking off things, and I was like, okay, where is this going? I still don't know. I don't know if it was part of the entertainment for their dinner or their gathering, because they did have a guest from Russia, I believe, that maybe they, I don't know. I don't know how it works. But hey, if I have no problems with that. It was just sorry, excuse me. It was just it didn't uh it surprised me. Let's leave it at that. It took me by surprise because I was not expecting that. Um so there is a kick that Bruce Lee does in the movie. I think he does it a few times throughout the movie. I did not count. But now I'm wondering if this one particular kick this one scene in particular that he did this kick is what inspired his wax figure at Madame Tussauds in San Francisco. And if it is that one, it could be from another movie. I don't know. Because this is the first Bruce Lee movie that I have actually seen all the way through from what I can remember. I may have seen bits and pieces of other movies of his, but if this movie is what inspired that particular wax figure in San Francisco, I have a picture with that figure. And I had fun with that picture because I actually acted like he had actually kicked me in the face. And I had to think about it based on what foot he was kicking with and where I was standing. Which way does my face need to go in order to make it look like he kicked me in the face? If I can, yeah. So, showing the picture. Yeah, so I don't know if it's actually from this movie. It could be from another movie. I don't know. But what actually having seen this movie and seeing, some of the kicks, it automatically made me think of that wax figure in the wax museum. Yeah. So overall, not a bad movie. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. I think what really was throwing me off was the the dubbing. Like it I think that was more distracting than anything. But it was still enjoyable, uh action packed with the fight scenes, and then of course there was the few times I don't know. I lost track of how many times that he had been going incognito. He was basically putting on a disguise. He was a rickshaw puller driver guy. He was a telephone repairman. Um, he was a newspaper salesman or something. I think there were a couple other times he disguised himself. Um, but I was like, okay, he's in disguise. What is he up to now? Or what disguise is he? What is his plan here? So I was intrigued to find out which of these disguises would help him with his particular goal. Is he planting a seed somewhere, or is that his way of spying to get some info, or is he trying to set them up for something? I don't know. So that was why it was so intriguing with these different disguises. So, if you like martial art type movies and you haven't seen this yet, go ahead and check this out. It is very entertaining for the martial arts aspect. If you don't have an issue with the dubbing, then you would probably enjoy this movie a lot. I mean, as far as I know, this is a classic Bruce Lee movie, other than Enter the Dragon, which I will do in the future. I think that's Enter the Dragon, I believe, is the one that I have seen bits and pieces of, but never have seen it all the way through in one sitting. So I will do that one sometime in the future. So I would give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Because it was entertaining. It did have a little bit of gruesome part, but it wasn't bad. It didn't gross me out or anything, but I was just like, oh, well, okay, that's well done for the early 70s. But really, I think it was I think it took me out of the story. It was because what I was hearing wasn't matching the mouth movements of the actors, and I think that's what took me out of it a little bit. If that hadn't happened, I probably would have been more focused. I don't know, but it was still a pretty decent movie. So somewhere in the middle. Again, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. If it's on TV, I probably would watch it again, but no guarantees. It just really depends on what else is on. Who knows? So I think that's all I've got for right now. If you liked this video and you want to see more, remember to click like and subscribe. And I think that's all I've got for you. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.